Ich habe jetzt irgendwie gefühlt 4 Stunden gespielt und kein Stück vorangekommen.
How's it go? Take your time. Cool.
Irgendwie. Er hat ja gar kein Geld mehr. Oh, wer hat
See
noch
you
Geld?
around.
Okay. Zeit, nach Titan zu gehen.
This is UC Security. Prepare to be scanned for contraband. Scan complete. You're cleared to land at New Homestead.
Welcome to New Homestead. Please make your way to the building at the end of the path and down into the colony below. Stay safe and enjoy your visit.
Okay, wo ist der Space?
Hey, what can I do for you? Anything I can help you with? Sure, how about it? Looks to me like you're already in... Looks to me like you're already in pretty good shape.
Was habe ich hier für Mission? Oh, Alter. Schöne Mission hier, warte mal. Antonio Homestead. Das ist meine Mission.
Heads up, if you're planning on going to Chunks, Luther's been bothering anyone with the ship for help.
Interesting. The last thing I expected to stumble across at this type of settlement is a museum. Might be worth a look around.
Maybe, ja.
Careful. There are some dangerous areas around here that are not part of any tours. New Homestead is a living history exhibit, but these are real people, so please be kind to them.
Someone's got to talk to Joyce about these brownouts. I don't mind the tourists. They help the local economy.
No disrespect, but I'd appreciate if you let me and my family be. We get a lot of tourists out this way, but most of them aren't so bold as to strike up conversations with us. What's your deal? You seem genuine enough. So what can I do for you? From what I know about farming elsewhere, it's largely the same. Big difference is that we need to import or make our own soil. And we need to be extra careful with our temperature control. Titan's surface is frozen, and it's not much better just below it with the ice caves. Then it's just a matter of artificial sunlight and supplying CO2 for the crops. It's not too challenging. Well, for one, it's my wife Mara's farm. I just had the good fortune of marrying into it. It's been in her family for generations. We're the best source of fresh produce in the colony. Not like that processed junk we get from off-world, and certainly nothing like that eyesore chunks. No worries. You have yourself a day now.
The elders say that preserving our tradition is so important, but I keep hearing such wonderful things about other worlds. Ah, someone new. Are you a tourist, or have you just moved to New Homestead? Well, there's lots to learn. You can always feel free to try one of the historical tours, or ask the locals about life here. I'm fascinated by the other worlds in the settled systems. Do you mind if I ask you a question? Oh, wonderful. What's New Atlantis like? Oh my, that sounds incredible. Ever since I overheard one of the tourists speaking about it, I've always wanted to go. We hear about it, of course, but we rarely get much exposure to other worlds beyond the people who come from them to visit our little colony. I wonder if I can convince Nathaniel to go on a trip there with me and our daughter. Do you mind if I ask you another question? Thanks. I promise not to take too much of your time. Is the Freestar Collective as lawless as I've heard? Really? That sounds nice, but what happens if there's a dispute? Who settles it? Do people really just take the law into their own hands at that point? Can people be trusted to do the right thing? Gosh, I'm sorry, you don't need to answer all of that. I'm just so fascinated by it all. Is it okay if I change the subject? Oh, thank you. Are there really planets full of plants, fresh air, and water?
Yep.
I've read about them. It seems incredible, doesn't it? I've only ever known Titan, and it's always so cold and drab. I've always dreamed of visiting one to breathe the air, feel the warmth of its sun, but my husband is reluctant to leave our home. Can I ask you something else? Oh, wonderful. Is space travel as exciting as it seems? I've heard stories about pirates and spaceship malfunctions and all sorts of terrible things. I've always wanted to try going into space, but I'm also worried about all those dangers. Maybe people here are right. The dangers here are few, and we know how to take care of them. Space is too unknown. Those are all the questions I have at the moment. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day for me.
My papa doesn't really like me talking to the tourists, but how else am I going to learn about out there? Hello? I'm not really supposed to talk with tourists, but I kind of want to anyway. And I don't think my papa is paying attention. You're not going to tell him, are you? Oh, thank you! I promise it'll be fun. I like talking to tourists. I get to learn so much about everywhere else, and they get to learn about here. Now what should we talk about? I think it's pretty fun. And I get to be around my mama and my papa all day, so that's cool. They say we all have to work a little, because it takes all of us to make the community work. Just like on Earth a really, really, really long time ago. Someday, I think it'd be cool to see other places and do other things, but this is fine for now. My mama says it's because he thinks we'd up and leave if we found out about the rest of the worlds out there. But I keep telling him, I love it here, and I love him, and I would never leave him. He doesn't believe it. He says the kids almost always want to leave when they grow up. But not me. Nope. I just want to visit somewhere else. Maybe. Not really. There's some, though. Most are around my age. We all go to school in the same room. I don't know. I've never been to any other schools. We mostly learn about the history of the Sol system and Earth and stuff like that until we get old enough to go on our learning vacation. That's when we get to leave to go to school somewhere else for a few years, or travel and visit other worlds, try out jobs and stuff. Oh, I can't wait. Bye.
Hello.
Okay, gibt's bestimmt jemanden, der ich Sachen
I
verkauft.
still can't believe people actually live like this.
Hello there. Welcome to the new Homestead Chunks. We've got all your Chunks' favorites. Well, almost all of them. Sadly, we're out of the special sauce. I know. But everything else is still that great Chunks food you know and love. So, what can I do for you? Oh, you had to go and ask the hard questions, huh? How can I pick just one? Chicken chunks, beef chunks, potato chunks, cheesesteak chunks, cheesecake chunks. You know what? I'm gonna cheat if you don't mind, and just say I love them all equally. You know I do. And what's not to love? It's delicious, nutritious, easy, fast, inexpensive. It sure makes my hungry belly sing for joy. My wife thinks I eat too much Chunks food, but I just can't help myself. It's so good. Well, people gotta eat, you know? But seriously, I think we're just starting to get with the times a little. And I can't think of a better restaurant than Chunks to usher that in. I think corporate just saw New Homestead as an untapped market. The locals may not eat it, but the tourists love having a taste of home. If I'm completely honest, it is. The people are always saying how this Chunks can't compare to the real deal. And I just know it's because we never had that mouth-watering sauce. I've been in contact with some of the other restaurants out there, and they'll give me some. But they say they can't afford to send it, and I don't have a ship, so what am I to do? Wait, for real? You do that. You're not pulling my leg. Oh, yeah, right. I actually just got a message back from another Chunks before you got here, and they got a case ready to go for me. Just tell them you're there to pick it up for me, and it should be good to go. Thanks.
Welcome to Chunks. Thanks for choosing Chunks. Which chunks would you like today? Chunks are the highest quality ingredients sourced from all over the settled systems. And, I forget the rest. Great. What can I get for you?
Ah, die Motivation höre ich bis hierhin.
So cold here. Well, what did we think of the tour?
Very informative. I didn't know about the
Did you
methane
see those wind
harvesters
turbines out there?
Wow.
We take vandalism seriously here. You don't mess with history.
tour guide showed.
Welcome. I'm Anya. Is this your first time with us at the Brown Horse Tavern?
Now I feel like it's popping up everywhere.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us. You're in for a real treat. We've got an assortment of food and drinks, some of which follow homemade recipes that have been passed down over hundreds of years. So, what can I do for you? Oh, hardly. The locals pretty much stay away from chunks, so whenever they don't feel like cooking themselves and want a fresh meal, they come to me. Only the tourists eat that junk. Oh, but don't tell that to my husband. He manages the chunks. I love him, but he's a bit of a fanatic about it. Let me show you what we have.
Sieht schon nice aus.
Take care. Thanks for stopping by.
It's been a while since I last visited.
Ice mining operations are unusual, but if they're run properly, they can prove to be quite lucrative.
Great! Another tourist. Let me guess. You slipped on the ice and need a doctor to wrap your sprained ankle? I appreciate that you're trying to set me at ease, but that might as well be the same. Sorry for how I responded. It's not you, it's me. I'm just frustrated about all the non-native people I need to treat when our own still need help. Anyway, what can I do for you? Even though we don't have shiny new medical facilities, I imagine it's easier than wherever you're from. We have fewer people here, and we're very responsible when it comes to our personal health and welfare. So there's not much I can't handle. For anything else, we can get access to off-world specialists. Contrary to popular belief, we're not primitive. It's a harsh world, but as long as you're inside or wear a suit when going out, you'll be fine here. There's no breathable air on the surface, and you'll quickly freeze to death outside without protective gear, but otherwise the hazards are minimal. New Homestead was an early colony research base and has stood the test of time. It's safe, and it's proof that people can live pretty much anywhere. Don't worry so much. Sure. We may not be as well stocked as other colonies, but I've got some basic medical supplies for sale.
Was? Wie teuer?
I don't. They make a mockery of New Homestead culture. And on top of it, they're reckless. It's like I said before, I feel like I'm treating them more often than our own people. The problem is that most of the tourists' injuries are from preventable accidents. Things our people know how to avoid. And often I have to take care of them first because they can't leave with their injuries, so I have to put off seeing my regular patients. So not only am I working extra hard for people who have little respect for me, it comes at the expense of our own. Actually, maybe there is. I have an idea that may be best suited for someone relatively unknown, instead of myself. I've got a mountain of work and a reputation to maintain. So I bought a realistic monster costume. The plan was to wear it, scare tourists away, and start a rumor about terrible creatures living on Titan. I figure that once word gets around, tourism will take enough of a dive to give me some relief. Maybe, I'm not sure. I know it sounds crazy, but I don't have any other ideas. The tourism board flat out won't help me, and I don't have money in the budget to hire additional help. And you know these tourists will believe anything they see and hear. I think it's worth a shot. Worst case scenario, I'm back to square one. Oh, good. I was hoping not to have to do it myself, so I'm glad to have a volunteer. Here's the costume. I think this will work best on the surface, so just find a group and run up to them, acting like a convincing alien monster. With any luck, they'll run screaming and book the next flight out of here.
What? What the fuck, wie nice. Wieso muss ich immer noch einen Händler finden? So unverschämt.
That's way more awesome wherever you come from than it is here.
Hi there. Always nice seeing a new face. It's a little weird that people come here to see what early colony life was like. To me, it's just how they live.
Welcome to New Homestead.
It's always so cold here. You'll never catch me!
Weiß ja nicht.
I have so much energy! I want to run around! I can't wait to go away on my learning vacation when I grow up.
Some say New Homestead is a backwoods world. Maybe it is, but that doesn't really bother me. Oh, you don't really want to talk to me. I'm just a nobody from the crates. Besides, I'm not really good at talking to tourists about New Homestead. If you're really interested in our history, talk to Maurice. He's a lot better at that than I am. Most people aren't. Sorry. I don't mean to push anyone away. I'm just not good at, people. It's not as bad as you'd think. I like talking to off-worlders, especially people my age. It gives me ideas for what I want to do when I'm done with school. Because, honestly, I'm not sure I want to stay here. It'll always be my home, but as soon as I can afford to, I'd love to explore my options. Well, I'm trying to finish up my undergrad schooling, actually. I want to be a physicist like my grandmother. Then, who knows what. But I also do some odd jobs here or there for money. Sometimes I help Jay out at his shop, and he gives me stuff in return. Sometimes I help Anya clean up at the Brown Horse when she's short-staffed. That sort of thing. The crates are what we call the living quarters for the poor people, like me. They're made from old shipping containers. We have to make do with the space we have here. They're comfortable enough, I guess. And no one on Titan is well off to begin with, but you can tell that people look down on us, especially some of the tourists. Okay, well, no, not the studies specifically. Like, I get good grades when I'm able to apply myself. But I'm poor. I just don't have the kind of money to be a full-time student and support myself. Even living in the cheap-ass crates. I keep having to take odd jobs just to put food on my plate. And when I do, my grades suffer. I just feel like I'll be stuck in a rut forever.
20.000.
Really? I thought it was the only way. I remember my parents telling me that when they were still around. But maybe you're right. I guess I can put my studies on hold, at least until I get enough credits saved up to live on. I can always return to my studies then. Maybe part of the reason I feel I've been stuck in a rut is because I push myself too hard. Thanks for the advice. It helped.
I'm sure she appreciates the advice, but I think actual funds would have been a bit more helpful.
Junge. Dann bezahl du. Junge, 20.000.
I could really go for some of Anya's cooking over at the Brown Horse.
We used to get more tourists than we do these days. You get used to the methane processing smell after a while.
Was ist das für Gravity hier? The Lounge.
Don't stay outside for too long here on Titan. You'll freeze solid without the proper protection.
Ich glaube, hier kann ich
Hello there,
verkaufen.
and welcome to my little shop. Are you visiting New Homestead for the first time? Oh, nice. You know, it's always such a pleasure to meet people from other worlds. Or just space. I don't judge. I'm Jay. I'm happy to help you find what you're looking to buy or take a look at whatever you want to sell. Trades of all kinds are welcome here. Or if you have any questions for me about the shop, the merchandise, or even just New Homestead in general, I'm happy to help you. We used to, but not anymore. Believe it or not, the New Homestead Tourism Board decided a while back to do away with souvenirs. We don't really have the resources or facilities to make them here ourselves, and it was decided that anything less than that would seem exploitive of our people and inauthentic. Only thing we have are these souvenir slates about the history of New Homestead. Tell you what, I've got an extra one here that another guest left behind a while back. You can have it. I love them. Most of us in New Homestead appreciate what tourism does for our economic livelihood, so we go out of our way to make guests feel welcome. Some are indifferent about it, while a few others, I won't name names, are downright resentful of all the tourists and would prefer to be left alone. But that being said, I believe our generally friendly demeanor is a large part of what drives people to keep coming back. Glad you asked. I'm looking for all sorts of things. Anything, really. Clothing, weapons, jewelry, even stuff they consider junk. You name it. We don't get a lot of off-world stock, so I offer to buy things from travelers. Anything they're willing to part with. Between you and me, people around here talk a lot about tradition and whatnot, but even they get curious about what other worlds have to offer. Sure thing. I'm also interested in buying if you have anything for sale.
Also, dieses Gelaber hier macht mich fertig. Ja. Na, Plushie, Galactica,
Maybe we can make it. Enjoy the rest of your day.